If you can dig it, then let's rock.
Pause. Okay, I know what you're thinking. How come it's taken this guy so long to put anything new on video? Or maybe you're thinking, why does he bother being on YouTube anyway? Well, we've been doing a lot of work and we want to show it to you. So let's get back on the road. Roll the film, Jeeves. Well, as I had promised, we're going to bring you some drone footage today. And it's about time. We've been cleaning up around the place, doing some brush abatement for the Forest Service. So we'll take off here and see if we can figure this thing out. This is a Mavic Air drone, and it works pretty good. It's got a good picture. It's got good, kind of good picture. If you get this as a picture, you might want to land your aircraft and remove the lens cover. There, that's better. And see if we can fly around here some and not run into anything. We'll go up a little. Here's up the hill. This is our hydro turbine. See if we can get a closer picture of that. Like I said, this has a really good camera. It's at 1080p right now, but it will go up to 4K cinema quality. 1080p is fine for what we're doing. This is the upper mine road. Solar panels. Here's the entrance to the upper mine, or the lower mine actually. This is the first road going up the hill. Let's see if I can focus in on the tunnel here, or the adit, the portal. Got to get the terminology right. If you want to be a miner, you got to learn the words. So this is an aerial view of the campsite, or the mine site. There's a lot of roads that we got to keep straightened out. So, a few buildings, got to keep those plumbed and working properly. But there's a lot of area out there that we can go searching for gold. We've got about 350 acres of gold claim up here, 26 of which is actually private property, patented claim, granted by Herbert Hoover. So that was a long time ago. Look that up in your history book. See if you can figure out what year Herbert Hoover was in office. I sure to hell don't remember. High school was so many years ago. Yeah, we're coming down here some. See if we can trim the tops of the trees here. Whoa, that was scary. I have it in sport mode right now, so it disconnects all the safeties and lets you really zoom around. It'll get up to 45 miles an hour, but it does become a little dangerous for the helicopter itself, or the quadcopter itself. You see, it is very responsive, and it will do whatever you tell it, and that even includes crashing into a wall. Yes, I did. Fortunately, all that left was a couple of scratches on the body. It didn't even break a propeller. But there's the first crash down. Here's another aerial view. This is taking off from the table that you see towards the center of the screen there. I'm sitting at the table, and I told it to just go straight up. We'll get an aerial view. Now, I had programmed it with an altitude limit of 400 feet. Unfortunately, I didn't notice at the time that it was 400 meters. So this quad kept going up and up and up, and finally it gave me a sign saying low battery. And it said that I had 53 seconds to land, which I barely made it. I think I made it with 4 seconds to spare. But that was putting it in sport mode and coming down as fast as I could. Regular mode, or in beginner mode, where all the sensors and speed controls are in play, the quad will actually land itself exactly where you took off from. However, it does it slowly, and I did not have the time to spare. So anyhow, this is up pretty high. I'm getting a nosebleed just looking at the picture. But it does show you the roads coming in and out and going around the mine site. This next shot coming up is a built-in effect in the Mavic called Asteroid. It builds your picture into its own little planet. Now the main reason I got this quadcopter was to do some exploring up in areas that are a little bit rough and rugged. Too much so for this old guy. So I'm able to spot the interesting areas up on the hill with binoculars, then fly the quad out and take a look around. This was a rock outcropping with a lot of dirt slough down the front of the mountain. So I flew up there to see if maybe there was a tunnel. Excuse me, if there was an adit or a portal. And what I found was a rock outcropping that looks like somebody had worked it over, doing some sampling, some testing, some prospecting. But it doesn't look like they really found anything because it's not worked any further than that. There's no tunnels or adits. So, but that's the way I do things up there now. I kind of kick back and fly it and look for interesting spots. If I see anything, I send my gopher up there, a guy named Tim. He's a younger kid that likes climbing mountains and hills. So he'll go up and explore for me if I point the direction. Now here's an aerial view of the shaft that connects the upper mine to the lower mine. And as you see, there's just a couple of logs there to keep you from falling in. This is a winch that I picked up. It's an old Fairbanks Morris hit and miss engine and a Fairbanks Morris winch. So it's kind of a rarity, but we're going to use this up there at the shaft. Pull out some stuff. And the brake belt, the brake bands, and the clutch bands are all in pretty good condition. And I've checked the bearings, they look good. So after 80 years, it may still run. Now this is what we'll call the West Mine. It goes back maybe 250 feet and opens up into a 3-foot deep puddle of water. We've been in this one before, but I want to show you some stuff. One of the reasons why being in old mines is dangerous. There were a couple of ore chutes here which have filled in. Don't know how far they'll go down before they break loose and you'd fall through. So we're going to either dig those out and gate them, or maybe just cap them with rock and concrete. But it's got to be safe. You don't want to fall into a hole out here. So we'll take a walk back here and I'll show you something a little sketchy that we didn't really take into consideration before. Get back here and you'll notice this wooden floor. That's called a false floor. Underneath it there is no dirt. In fact, there's a cavity that's about 30 feet deep, and we only thought it was maybe 4 or 5 feet wide, but it's actually about 15 feet long and 2 feet wide, 3 feet wide. So we were walking on top of that, and my guys had excavated the dirt off the top of it, and this is what we found. So little to say, nobody wants to go up in this tunnel right now. Excuse me, nobody wants to go up into this adit. Now this is what we found below the upper mine, or the upper west mine, was this lower tunnel. Originally it was filled to the top, and we've excavated all this dirt out about 8 feet from top to the ground, and at ground level we stopped at tracks. They're actually ore car tracks leading into this mine, in fact going almost clear to the back. Took us quite some time to excavate all this out. And there's a shot of one of the tracks that we found. There's both the tracks. Maybe I'll get around to it. We'll put together an old ore cart, or put together a new old looking ore cart. or an old new looking ore cart, who knows, and actually use it. Now once we get into the mine, you'll see that it's kind of filled in. This is in the bottom of a washway, a ravine. So over the past 70 years that it hasn't been used, it's just slowly filled in with dirt. Once you get past this, which was about a 40-foot dig, then it opens up into a tunnel that's about 3 feet deep of mud. Now we'll take a little walk in here and show you what nice job my tunnelers have done. See, we've got it dug down, got all the mud dug out, and we're down to the rail ties and the rails. Got that white pipe there is draining the water out from the back. It's a slow drain. The water's dripping down from the upper mine, that big pool up above. So we gotta get up there, drain it out. Here we start getting into the mud. But since this video, we've dug this out too, so we're down to rail track past this point. And tell you, we had a lot of old timbers in there that we pulled out, and in just a moment you'll see exactly why we pulled them out without any concern of anything falling. This wood here is actually from that ore chute right there. That was full of ore when they left it, and over the years it's concreted itself back together, and then the wood rotted away, just leaving the form of the ore chute in ore. So we'll be sampling that and seeing if it's good ore. Now this is where it starts getting a little sketchy. You see that all the wood is rotted away, and all the timbers that were holding anything up are rotted away. So we had to be very careful on what we were looking at. This ore chute, it's pretty concreted together. Banging on it with your fist, you couldn't knock it loose, you couldn't jar it. But up ahead was a little bit more sketchy. Got downed rocks, we got timbers that are sagging, got timbers that are leaning, got timbers that are just plain rotted out. And here they've joined timbers together with a wedge and a housing nail. That doesn't sound too kosher. They didn't even use a spanner board to hold the uprights apart. So we're going to have to be careful. You can see how rotted the wood is around here. It's just falling apart. Just touching it, it falls apart. Now, if this wasn't my mine, and I didn't mind getting killed in it, I wouldn't touch any of this wood. In fact, I wouldn't even be back here. But I know the property and I know the perils. Now this is not the floor. This is the ceiling. This is ore that was dumped into a stope that's up above, and they broke through the ceiling. They just filled it with rock, and it was sitting on top of all these timbers, and it concreted itself together, and the ore or the timbers rotted out from under it, and it looks like it should be the floor, but it's actually the ceiling. And it's something that we don't even want to touch right now until we get new timbers in, because if you pick out one rock, you might start a chain reaction and wind up with 10 tons of rock in your lap, and that would not be fun. I don't want to be digging anybody out. But there's a lot of sulfated ores in here laying around on the ground. I'm going to sample those and see what we can get out of it. Since I shot this video, we've put in some lighting and cleaned up the floor a lot. You'll see it in the next video. Now, I didn't venture deep into the mud, but my boots show that I went far enough. It looks like I walked through a bowl of somebody's chocolate pudding. For the environmentalists, we have cut out a wash basin here, or a drain basin. Any of the effluent water from the mine gets trapped here. It's been raining recently, that's why there's water here. We have very little water coming out of the mine, and most of it evaporates. Well, That's about it for today. Complimentary refreshments will be served in the garden. And don't forget to visit the gift shop. See ya!